Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Glenn Tan speaking. This time, I'm going to talk about Green Multi VRF, the ERV, short for Energy Recovery Ventilation, including these two units. This is the ERV, and this is the ERV plus Dix coil. This presentation divides into these two parts. For your convenience, I have put the corresponding video linkage at the below description area. ERV. First of all, what is ERV? For example, in an apartment, you will turn on the air conditioning for cooling. However, the longer you stay in this room or in this house, the air quality, of course, it will become lower. At that time, what we need to do is just open the window or turn on the fresh air indoor unit to introduce the fresh air, right? And however, the more we introduce the fresh air also means the more inside the air, which is the cool air, will discharge just to maintain the same pressure inside the room. At that time, the discharge, the cool air, it is the energy lost. So the ERV, which is this device located here, it will discharge the fresh air to LV room, and before that, it will just make heat exchange. Just like this, this is fresh air from the outdoor and we discharge to the indoor side. And before that, it will make heat exchange with the indoor air, just here. And this one, we can recover the energy, which is just from the indoor air. Then transit to the fresh air to save the energy. And here is the features, which is to exchange the heat and humidity with the indoor discharge air, and also it can discharge the indoor low quality air to improve the indoor air quality. And also it can purify the outdoor fresh air, which is just get through the filter to achieve it. And for this one, we have the constant air volume control to ensure every room had enough fresh air. And multi-control operation mode, which is you can turn on this ERV by the wire controller manually, or you can linkage control with the GMV, which means when one of these indoor unit turn on, it will automatically turn on this ERV. Besides, if you connect to this air box, if we detect the air quality is low, which is judged by the CO2 or the PM2.5, you can also turn on the ERV. And for this one, this air box, you need to contact with your green salesman whether this one is available in your area or not. This slide displays the product lineup of the ERV. So from the model, you can find that this 1.5 means the air volume at high fan speed. And the last alphabet always means the power supply single phase. And the temperature exchange efficiency is here, around 75 or 76%. And max it can achieve 100 parts for the ESP. And here is the noise, net weight, and also the size information just for your reference. This is the appearance. And just open the panel, you will find the inside. Here is the heat exchange core. We just make heat exchange between the fresh air and the indoor air. And we intake the air from here and discharge from here to the indoor side. As for the indoor side, which is the indoor air, just get through this one and discharge from here. And also here, the heat just make heat exchange. And before that, they need to get across the filter, especially for the fresh air, to make it clean. Pre-filter. Here is this one. This is the picture of the inside material, and here is also the pictures. And first of all, and the function of it is just to protect the heat exchange core, which means the air either from the outdoor, the fresh air, or the indoor, the low quality air. You need to get through this pre-filter first. And the other function is to filter the air and large contaminants, which is the large material. As for the materials inside of this filter, here is actually it is the fiber with special process, which is this one. And the features is multi-plate structure, low resistance. This can ensure the large air volume, and also the dust filter capacity also is large, lightweight, and easier to replace or washable, just like this. After get through the pre-filter, the air will go to the heat exchange core and make heat exchange just like this. First of all, you will find that it is the worst flow design. This is to higher the heat transfer efficiency. Also, we adopt the hexagon design just like this to higher the heat exchange area. The purpose of it is just ensure the air can make heat exchange the length as large or as higher as possible. As for the inside material, it is just the paper, but with a special process. The function of it is also to higher the heat transfer and also the moisture transfer efficiency, also to avoid the CO2 to contamination, and also release. There's no fire risk. And also for this one, it is a module designed to ensure the pinch between the papers. This can lower the resistance, which can higher the structure intensity. As for the efficiency, in cooling mode, it is up to 75%. And here is how we calculate or how we claim the efficiency, or how we improve the energy recovery, which is during the nominal condition in cooling and heating. Without this ERV, how much power we can save just from the ERV. How we judge the air quality is according to the CO2 concentration rate, which is from this table. This is the ventilation times, and here is the CO2 concentration increased to 1000 ppm and 2000 ppm. Basically, you can find that this ventilation ratio, if it is higher, this increase to the 1000 or 2000 ppm, the time it should be longer. Also means the longer we turn on, or the more we introduce the fresh air, the much we can improve the air quality. However, when we introduce the fresh air, there's another problem, which is we also introduce the dust, and the dust always accumulated at the filter, and which may lead to the ESP loss, which means the air volume is not enough. And here is the comparison between the regular system and GREE ERV. And for the regular system, if the air volume drops, which may not satisfy the desired fresh air volume, which means the air quality also not that high. But for our GREE ERV system, which is within the allowable range of the ESP, on this graph you can find that this is different curve for different indoor unit of different ERV unit, and within the range which is within the 150 part for this 3 and 100 part for this 1, we can ensure the air volume it will be no change. This can ensure the fresh air amount. Auto mode is changed, which is inside the ERV there are air damper to control either the fresh air or the indoor air, whether it need to get through this heat exchange core to make heat exchange. For example, during summer or winter, as we would like to make heat recovery, then we can introduce the fresh air and the indoor air to make heat exchange here and recover the energy. On the wire controller, it will display this icon. And in the transitional season, for example, cooling, when we find that the outdoor ambient is cold, but inside the building it is still hot, at that time we just need to introduce the fresh air or to cool down the building. It's fine, which means no need to make heat exchange here to heating up the fresh air. So just like this, it is bypass mode, this icon on the wire controller. And if the outdoor ambient is very low or the humidity is extremely high, which means we don't like to introduce this low quality fresh air, so we can only discharge the inside air just like this and not make heat exchange. And this icon on the wire controller. For the wire controller, it is this one, SK112. It can manually turn on or turn off this ERV unit. Besides, it can also linkage control with the GNV, and just like this, if any indoor unit is turned on, this ERV unit can follow to turn on, and until all indoor units turn off, then this ERV also turn off. And the wiring method is similar to the GNV regular indoor unit, which is D1, D2 to series connected with the other indoor unit or outdoor unit. It can also linkage with this air box. Here is the model. What it can do is with this one, it can measure or to check the room temperature, humidity, CO2 concentration, and PM 2.5 value, which is the indoor air quality. And with this one, if according to your setting, if the air quality is lower, then it can automatically turn on this ERV to introduce the fresh air to improve the air quality. And the wiring method, you can just consider this one as the wire controller, which is connect to the H1, H2. It's okay. And here I'd like to emphasize again that this air box, you need to contact with your grid salesman to check whether it is available in your area or not. Positive and negative pressure mode. Inside the unit there are two fan motors. We can control this two fan motor RPM to achieve different combination. The first is the balance mode. That means these two fan motor, the air volume, they are almost the same, and also we can make these two to make heat exchange inside this heat exchange core to achieve the balance mode, which is the energy recovery. Positive pressure mode, that means introduce more but discharge less. That means we can make the outdoor air from leaking into the indoor. This leaking is happen at the gate of the door or windows. This is very helpful when the outdoor ambient, the fresh or the air, the quality is not that high. Negative pressure mode, that means we will discharge more just compare with the fresh air, just get through this heat exchange core. The purpose of it is just to prevent the indoor polluted air or oxygen leaking into the outdoor is very helpful during the COVID-19 because we will not release the indoor air from the gap of the door or the window. They must get through this heat exchange core. And here we can also make the countermeasure to make it clean. Is the special wired controller SK112. What you can do is this black color. First is the filter clean and replacement reminder, and then it can set the fan speed up to 5 level, and they're available for master and slave wired controller. It's more convenient, and also there are timers, countdown and the timer available for turn on and turn off for next 24 hours. And this is the constant air volume control for each fan speed level. And also it can display the air quality, which is the CO2 concentration value and PM2.5 value. This detected is from the air box, and also the indoor room temperature and humidity. And also if we can view time to detect of the fresh air and indoor intake air or temperature. For the wiring of this wired controller, it is the same as the GNV, which means it can one controller to control one ERV or one for multi, which is the group control, max 16, and 2 of this wired controller for one ERV and 2 for multi. Also available for the central control with CE52. That's all for this part of the presentation. If you still have any other question to ask or to discuss or any suggestion, please feel free to contact me on my personal email address.